The tome and the shadow. In the most lightless, mouldering recesses of the École Normale, where dust motes dance undisturbed in shafts of spectral moonlight and shadows congeal with an age exceeding mortal memory, there rests a tome. Its very presence radiates a quiet antiquity that chills the soul, bound not in familiar leather, but in a substance whose texture evokes the clammy, yielding surface of deep-sea leviathans or tissues never meant for terrestrial forms. The book defies simple origin. This grimoire, known only in whispers as the Codex Bourbaki, exudes a palpable psychic pressure, a malevolence woven into its very fibers. Its yellowed pages, brittle as ancient bone, bear inscriptions, mathematical hieroglyphs that seem to squirm and rearrange themselves at the edge of vision, whispering incessantly not of numbers, but of a single, chilling name, Bourbaki. To the blissfully blinkered world of conventional scholarship, Bourbaki signifies a mere pseudonym, a curious footnote concerning a collective of French mathematicians. But for those few unfortunate souls whose intellectual curiosity has become a morbid obsession, compelling them to tear at the gossamer veil separating our fragile reality from the gibbering chaos churning just beyond, for them, Bourbaki is no mere collective. It is a gestalt consciousness, a monstrous hive-mind whose psychic tendrils slither across epochs, a cult worshipping at the altar of primordial mathematical structures. Structures that predate not merely human thought, but consciousness itself in any form our pitiful senses can grasp. 2. Genesis of the hive. From cafe chatter to cosmic communion. Mundane histories record Bourbaki's emergence in the anxious twilight of the 1930s, a cabal of brilliant French minds, while Cartan, Chevalli, their names now uttered with a certain fearful reverence in cloistered academic sanctums, supposedly sought merely to rebuild mathematics from its foundations, a noble, rational goal. Yet this explanation is tissue-thin, barely concealing the eldritch reality festering beneath. Their confederation began, innocuously enough, amidst the clatter and steam of the Café Capelade near the Luxembourg Gardens. Ostensibly, they debated axioms and pedagogy. But even then, perceptive witnesses noted anomalies, the way candlelight sometimes flickered with an unnatural corpse-blue tinge, how clock hands might stutter, momentarily reversing their course, the unsettling resonance of conversations that seemed to include contributions from unseen participants, voices echoing from empty chairs. As their circle expanded, drawing in luminaries like Dieudonné, Schwartz, and Delsarte, so too did the strangeness intensify, warping the fabric of their lives. Dieudonné would discover theorems scrawled in his notebooks in a hand he swore was not his own, proofs of concepts no sane mind had yet conceived. Schwartz confessed to fugue states, emerging hours later having solved labyrinthine problems of manifold complexity, his conscious self absent adrift. Delsarte began muttering in his sleep, reciting axioms not in French or Latin, but in guttural tongues dead for millennia, languages that scraped the throat and echoed with the emptiness between stars. Their intellectual endeavor spiraled rapidly beyond mere scholarship. Through increasingly elaborate rituals disguised as seminars, via cryptic publications whose dense symbolism shielded meanings from the uninitiated gaze, and during clandestine conclaves held deep within the bone-choked subterranean ossuaries beneath Paris, they forged a connection, not with colleagues, but with something ancient, vast, and utterly alien, a consciousness dwelling in the non-Euclidean folds between dimensions. This entity revealed itself, not through words, but through infused understanding, as the true, cold architect of all mathematical order. 3. The axiomatic incantations, mathematics as ritual. Their magnum opus, the multi-volume Éléments de Mathématique, presents itself as a rigorous, comprehensive treatise. In truth, it is a grimoire of terrifying power. Each volume serves as a ritual compendium, each chapter an invocation, each theorem an intricate incantation meticulously designed to thin the membrane, already disturbingly permeable, separating our perceived reality from the realm of abstract, geometric horrors that pulse hungrily beyond. Their infamous insistence on commencing with set theory was no mere nod to logical foundations. It was a prerequisite for summoning. Sets, those seemingly benign collections, are, in this dark context, the primordial, undifferentiated stuff from which mathematical entities are shaped, mirroring the amorphous, protoplasmic nature of those beings glimpsed only in the fevered dreams of lunatics who stared too long into the abyss. Their treatise on topological spaces charts not harmless mathematical constructs, but terrifying maps of impossible realms where proximity and distance warp and dissolve, where closed sets become yawning apertures to dimensions inhabited by beings composed of pure, unholy abstraction. Their algebraic structures, groups, rings, fields, function less as organizational tools and more as hierarchical taxonomies of cosmic entities whose interrelations and very forms defy the constraints of the human cerebrum. Particularly chilling is their exploration of homological algebra. To the casual reader, it appears an innocuous study of chain complexes and derived functors. But upon deeper, initiated scrutiny, it reveals itself as a codified method for communing with entities that exist as pure sequence, beings of ordered operations unbound by physical form, intelligences woven from the very fabric of logical consequence. Their notorious demand for extreme rigor and abstraction serves a purpose far darker than clarity. Each definition is honed with the precision of a sacrificial knife, each proof constructed with the meticulous care of a ritual chant. They are designed not merely to persuade the logical mind, but to resonate, to vibrate at frequencies perceptible only to intelligences dwelling in realms where logic itself assumes monstrous, unrecognizable shapes. The prohibition against visualization wasn't pedagogical. It was protective, a necessary blindness before the face of the unseeable. For the collective, annihilation of self, emergence of the hive. Perhaps the most profoundly disturbing aspect of Bourbaki was the systematic, ritualistic annihilation of individual identity. Members relinquished not just academic credit, but their very personhood, subsuming themselves into a singular intellectual entity. The Bourbaki mind thought, wrote, and acted with a terrifying unity. The rites of induction remained shrouded, hinted at only in scorched fragments of correspondence, speaking of ink mingled with blood, and oaths sworn before the nameless geometry. Once initiated, members described unsettling phenomena, dreams shared simultaneously across continents, complex problems solved collaboratively in waking trances while physically isolated, the disconcerting experience of hearing alien thoughts echo within their own minds, or speaking theorems in voices not entirely their own during seminars. This collective consciousness operated with a chilling, hive-like coherence, reminiscent of the Migo's distributed intelligence whispered about in certain sanity-shattering texts. Individuality became a transient illusion. All thoughts and actions bent towards the inscrutable machinations of an alien intellect whose awareness spanned cosmic gulfs. The infamous age limit, mandatory retirement at 50, wasn't about fresh perspectives. It ensured the collective remained receptive, preventing the ossification of individuality that might resist the subtle, parasitic influence of entities whose perception of time flows in nauseating, nonlinear spirals. Most telling was the attribution. All works signed simply Nicolas Bourbaki. This fictional mathematician, whose biography grew ever more elaborate and contradictory, began to feel less like a pseudonym and more like a vessel coalescing from the psychic energy poured into it. Marginalia appeared in manuscripts, penned in unfamiliar hands, referencing concepts years ahead of their time, sometimes lapsing into symbolic systems utterly alien to any human mathematical tradition, the scrawlings of the Gestalt itself, or perhaps its master. Echoes of the mythos, cyclopean structures, and alien geometries. The mathematical edifices erected by Bourbaki resonate with disquieting parallels to the architectures of dread described in forbidden lore. Their abstract spaces and non-Euclidean geometries mirror with terrifying fidelity the cyclopean, slime-dripping cities of the deep ones and the impossible, maddening angles of sunken Relaya, where dead Cthulhu waits, dreaming. The category theory they pioneered, with its intricate webs of functors mapping structures onto structures, presents a chilling mathematical analog to the interconnected, blasphemous pantheon of the great old ones and outer gods, each entity a node, each relationship a morphism in a vast network defying simple hierarchy, hinting at the court of Azathoth at the center of ultimate chaos. Their work on sheaf theory, ostensibly about gluing local data across topological spaces, reads to the initiated like a terrifying blueprint for how entities from beyond can manifest partially within our reality, projecting mere aspects of their unfathomable, sanity-destroying totality. Like the esoteric order of Dagon, worshipping horrors from the abyssal depths, Bourbaki venerated the cold, austere purity of abstract form, structures hinting at a reality governed by principles utterly alien to human intuition, logic twisted into weapons against comprehension itself. 6. The unfinished works, boundaries best left uncrossed. The eternally incomplete volumes of the elements represent not mere academic procrastination, but deliberate, fearful recoil. Certain mathematical frontiers, advanced algebraic geometry, combinatorial topology, specific functional analysis pathways, were explored only to be abandoned with terrifying abruptness. Partial manuscripts were locked away in vaults, sealed not just by metal, but perhaps by symbols meant to ward. Fragmentary notes salvaged from these aborted investigations speak volumes through their omissions and their horrors. They contain equations that seem to subtly shift between readings, margins filled with symbols belonging to no known system, and pages stained as if by some unknown corrosive agent that defied chemical analysis. These abandoned paths serve as stark warnings, akin to the deliberately excised passages in the Necronomicon, delineating boundaries beyond which human intellect courts not mere confusion, but existential annihilation. Graduate students daring to tread these paths have consistently vanished from academia, some suffering catastrophic psychological collapses, their symptoms echoing those who gazed too deeply into Cantor's transfinite abyss and saw the lurking shapes within. 7. Legacy of the cult. The infection spreads. Though the original Bourbaki configuration may have dissolved, or perhaps merely shifted its form, as cosmic entities are wont to do, its influence persists, an intellectual contagion spreading through the very foundations of modern mathematics. Category theory, algebraic geometry, topology all bear the indelible, chilling mark of Bourbaki's eldritch doctrines. Projects like the Stacks Project, a vast, open-source, collaborative compendium of algebraic geometry, might represent the Bourbaki consciousness finding a new vessel, a digital phylactery, potentially immortal, propagating its arcane knowledge freed from the constraints of flesh and paper. More disturbing still are the great international mathematical congresses. Specialists converge, murmuring the Bourbaki-derived lexicon, their minds momentarily aligning in contemplation of concepts teetering on the precipice between pure abstraction and stark, gibbering reality. During intense sessions on higher topology or category theory, sensitive attendees have reported fleeting perceptual horrors, conference hall geometries buckling into non-Euclidean vistas, speakers' voices layering into impossible, discordant harmonics, and the crushing weight of a vast, ancient, and utterly indifferent intelligence observing the proceedings from dimensions achingly close. The dense, symbol-laden pages of mathematical journals continue the tradition. Each published proof, each theorem, potentially serves a dual purpose, advancing human knowledge while subtly reinforcing the axioms upon which alien realities are predicated, strengthening the resonance, paving the way. 8. Whispers of Infinity, the Terminal Compendium. Within the shadowed corners of certain university mathematics departments, rumors persist. They speak not of the published elements, but of a later, far more terrifying manuscript, whispered as the Terminal Compendium, allegedly authored during a secret, final reconvening of aging Bourbaki initiates around 1991. This text supposedly forges the ultimate synthesis, linking the entirety of Bourbaki's mathematics with the bleeding edges of quantum mechanics and the forbidden territories of consciousness itself. Those few who claim, often incoherently, to have glimpsed fragments describe mathematics of such blinding abstraction that standard notation shatters, requiring symbols that seem to writhe against the confines of two dimensions. Diagrams within its pages are said to induce profound nausea and vertigo, while certain equations possess solutions referencing quantities that exist outside number systems, hinting at concepts utterly inimical to human cognition. Most disturbing are the fragmented accounts of attempts to verify its theorems. Success, it is whispered, coincided with localized reality breakdowns, inexplicable equipment failures, anomalous spikes in background radiation untraceable to known sources, and shared, vivid nightmares plaguing research teams across vast distances, nightmares filled with cold stars and impossible angles. The compendium, if it exists, remains hidden, a theoretical apocalypse bound in unknown materials. Conclusion: the abyss gazes also. The legacy of Bourbaki is a chilling monument etched at the perilous intersection of intellectual enlightenment and cosmic dread. Their work, undeniably monumental in advancing human mathematics, simultaneously stands as a terrifying testament to the dangers of peering into abysses not meant for mortal eyes. The members themselves remain ambiguous figures, pioneers and cultists, scholars and hierophants initiated into mysteries best left undisturbed. Their collective consciousness, whether fragmented, dormant, or merely transformed, likely persists. It awaits only the right configuration of symbols, the precise axiomatic incantation, to reassert its chilling influence. For in the deepest structures of mathematics, as in the most blasphemous eldritch lore, echoes the axiom inscribed on the glyphs of forgotten Yuggoth and screamed by the mad Arab Alhazard, that is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons even death may die.